Hello and welcome to the vlog update for July 2024. It has been a minute since my last update. I think it was in early June last time I carved out the space in my schedule to share a few words, and it has just been non-stop since then. There's been so much happening. It's been really, really cool, but way hectic and a bit of a whirlwind. So please forgive me while I quickly refer to my notes as we go, because it is a massive month. The biggest news for me in particular is that on Friday, the 2nd of August, coming up in just a handful of sleeps, my very first ever fully spoken word experimental electronic single will be coming out. It's called Square Root Negative One, and it is, of course, in theme with the general concept for my in progress album project, which is called Starseeds Wanted, Inquire Within. And I don't really know how to describe Square Root Negative One. It's, well, like I said, it's experimental electronic, my first fully spoken word release, and it's got some fun beats in my opinion and some cosmic kind of ear candy that I think is really in theme with where I'm planning to take the project over coming months. And yeah, so I'm going to be really excited to see how you like it. And I'll also be releasing a lyric video for it, one of my usual DIY lyric videos, probably a couple of weeks after the single itself is out. I'll chuck here on YouTube somewhere in my usual DIY music video playlist. The Basically just it's a bunch of plates with the main cover art as a still and text overlaid on top, and it's swapping between the main color scheme and the inverted colors of that. So pretty low key, nothing too fancy, but I think it'll be fun to have a little lyric video for my first spoken word piece. I didn't do a lyric video at all for Random Number, which was a first for me. I've done lyric videos for everything else, but not that one, evidently. But now I'm back on the lyric video bandwagon. So look for that a couple of weeks after the single itself drops on Friday. Very exciting stuff. And also in support of the release of Square Root Negative One, I've put together one of my usual Spotify playlists too. This one being very unusual for me because it actually features almost exclusively spoken word. All kinds of different flavors of spoken word, but it's all spoken word in this particular playlist that I've created to support Square Root Negative One. So we've got things like, your sort of classic kind of jazz, club feel, spoken word, poetry drop sort of thing, as well as kind of acoustic, really chill, narrative style spoken word, some really super experimental electronic stuff, as well as, excerpts and samples from things like metaphysical seminars and whistleblower interviews on various topics. So it's a really diverse playlist of all kinds of flavors of spoken word, and I'll be chucking Square Root Negative One at the top of that playlist when it comes out on Friday. If you are curious to have a listen to that, that'll probably be a highly recommended source to find the track, unless, of course, you want to pre-save it, and I should remember to plop the pre-save link into the description here below. As I've probably mentioned in previous vlogs, it's actually really helpful for artists if people are willing to pre-save a release, because it helps to signal to the algorithms that there are people interested in the release straight away, right from the get-go. So it generates, or automatically it kind of flags that release as something of interest maybe for the bots that roam the interwebs. So please do check it a pre-save if you are able to and inclined to do so. It would be a huge help. And beyond that, let's check my notes again. Playlists as well. Yes, I'm not sure if I mentioned in my previous vlog. Also, I have been invited by the Melbourne musicians kind of network group. They started out as a Facebook group, but then they've kind of expanded into Instagram and Spotify playlisting and Bandcamp and stuff like that. Anyway, I was invited by Simon Gemmell, the guy who runs it, very wonderfully kind gentleman, to collaborate on some playlists with him and a couple of other people in that community. So I have been, yeah, I've gotten started, and that's one of the reasons I haven't done a vlog update in a while, because I've been sort of trying to pull my ideas together for these new playlists. He's invited me to collaborate on Melbourne Electronica, which, as the name would suggest, is intended to kind of spotlight really cool, standout work from Melbourne-based-ish artists and projects in the electronic music space, and that is my joy. I love electronic music, as you know, of all kinds of different flavors. So I'm very, very excited to be involved with that. And also the Melbourne Rising playlist, which is an all genres playlist, which is intended to spotlight really cool, up and coming, fresh releases and fresh projects. So that also is very excited to be involved with, because even though I love electronic music, I love all kinds of music as well. And being able to contribute to an all genres, sort of cream of the crop in concept playlist is very exciting for me. And he's also asked me to sort of be a little bit of a sounding board as well for their main ongoing uh, Melbourne Melbourne musicians playlist that is refreshed every month. That anyone is free to submit music to new releases. If you're based in Melbourne, um, they accept and will sort of playlist your music into that big main playlist that is refreshed on a monthly basis on the first of every month. So I'm kind of being a sounding board for that as well. So there's 3 Melbourne musicians playlists that I'm helping out with, the 2 more intensively. So what I'm going to be doing with the first 2 that I mentioned, Electronica and Rising, I'm actually basically picking 10 tracks to add to each of those each month. And I'm kind of spacing them out on a kind of fortnightly basis. So this Friday, I updated the Melbourne Electronica playlist with my 10 for July. And then in 2 weeks after that, I'll do my monthly updates for the Melbourne Rising playlist. So that'll be another 10. And then 2 weeks after that, it'll be back to the Electronica update for August. And then 2 weeks after that, the Melbourne Rising update for August. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, I figure spacing it out as much as I can in that way will make it a little bit more sane for me as I try to pick. How can I pick? Just, there's so much great music being created, and but there are only so many hours in my day. So I've basically self-imposed myself a limit of 10 tracks per month, and I'll do them in a batch way, because I think that also helps to get the word out as well. I can just tag the artists in my socials post about it whenever I do an update, and then everybody can check out what's fresh that month and what I'm loving. So I think that'll be a really good approach. So please do chuck those lists a follow if you're able to. They're on Spotify. I'll try to remember to put links to those as well, because one of the things about Spotify, well, any sort of playlist really, right, is that they're really valuable for training the algorithms to recognize good music and also matching it up with music that pairs well with it. So what I try to do in all of the playlists that I do is have a really good playthrough experience. So I try to not just pick songs that I think are great, but I do arrange everything very strategically to have it flow nicely from one track to the next, but also to sort of point out to the algorithms, look, I think this one pairs nicely with this one pairs nicely with this, and so on. So it's a steady flow for the algorithms to learn, and also a pleasant experience for someone listening, because I try to make sure that the transitions between the tracks are good. And every listen through of a playlist like that will help train the algorithms and make them more confident in recommending different music. So when we have real live ears on playlists that are constructed strategically like that, it helps everybody in the playlist to get indexed in a better way, more efficiently and more appropriately by the bots. Or at least that's my theory. And I think it's mostly right what I'm proposing. It makes sense, right? Like that would have to be, in a nutshell, how, music indexing bot sort of scraping kind of works, right? That fundamentally is how it's in theory meant to go anyway. But enough about playlists. There's a whole heap of other stuff, and I'm already 10 minutes into this update. Gee whiz. Stop rambling, Jen. What else have I got on the list? I have got, yes. So progress with the album, of course, Starseeds Wanted, Inquire Within, in a general sense. I have got, so with Square Root Negative One's release, that will be another single for the album, in addition to Random Number, which I released earlier this year. And I think I'm also going to include Midday Blue on the album. I think it would fit well, actually, as well. And beyond those, I've got some other demos that I've got kind of ready to go, and a few other items in the pipeline and other possibilities. But I've come to the point, I think, where I'm really kind of wanting to try to access more expertise on bringing things together in a coherent and cohesive way that other people will enjoy listening to. And basically that means I'm looking for production assistance now, like help with producing tracks and a whole package as an album that will sound good and make sense and be really engaging and accessible to listeners. I really want that experience to be a good one for someone who's curious about the music, decides to give it a listen. I want them to be rewarded with something that sounds freaking amazing. And I know I don't have the expertise myself, especially in, the engineering, mix engineering, definitely, and production. I want it to be a really well produced, well mixed, really, really rich sounding offering, because it's a very special project for me, of course. But I think the inherently the messages that I'm speaking in the lyrics across the songs and in the sounds that I'm trying to assemble, it is like me trying to give a gift to life, in a way, to existence. And so that has to be, almost by definition, the best that I can make it, right? Like that's what I'm here to do. So I need more expertise than I currently have, because although I could, in theory, learn how to self-produce and mix and do all of that wonderful stuff, I don't have the decade plus. I don't want to sit on an album for longer than I have to. And so I've decided, I really need someone who knows what they're doing, or someone's. So that was a really long, rambly way of saying, if you or anyone you know might be interested in helping me out with production on Starseeds Wanted, Inquire Within, I would really love to hear about it. Please do get in touch. Forward my details or info or links or whatever it is onward to anyone you think might be really, interested and well aligned to get involved with this project, because I would really welcome that. I think I'm at the stage where I'm ready for that now. So yeah, please, putting it out into the universe. I would love to hear about any production assistance or engineering expertise, anything like that. Please let me know. And also, in sort of in the vein of upskilling, so as you know, I am basically a lifelong learner. I love to learn new things, explore new areas, develop new skills. And my next thing that I'm really going to focus on is I'm going to try to progress beyond just my sort of rudimentary YouTube taught piano plonking abilities. And I've actually signed up for proper piano lessons starting this week. So that is very exciting for me, because I've had this keyboard, sitting in my apartment, and I just sort of clumsily ham fist my way through using it. But I really want some actual technique that I know is sound, proper, appropriate technique that isn't going to sort of shoot me in the foot when I develop bad habits, down the road. I want to do it properly from the start, so I don't have to unlearn bad habits or anything like that. So I've gone ahead and taken the plunge and signed up for piano lessons, which I'm very, very excited about. And in terms of other instrumentation, I meant to mention in the last vlog update as well, but I just got carried away and totally forgot. My very kind and wonderful friend Chris. Hey Chris, he lent me this really cool drum machine, just a little sort of starter thing for me to play around with. And I need to admit straight up, I have not played with it hardly at all. I've like, done a little bit with it, but that is another thing that I really want to sort of sit down with properly and have a play with and figure out over coming time when I find time. But yeah, the release, of course, is taking up a lot of my focus right now, and of course my normal day job type stuff too. So carving out the appropriate space in my day, as well as I've started, well, not started, I'm continuing to do the sort of physical rehabilitation stuff from the spinal surgery, and that is progressing. It's progressing wonderfully, but I am still really, I want to prioritize it more, because maybe I'm impatient, but I want to be making faster progress. And I've been finding that the amount of time that I spend in doing physical activity compared to spending my day planted in front of a computer, it's not the ratio I want. I'm spending way too much time in front of a computer, um, for my liking, and I really want to change that. So yeah, it's a bit of a thing, time juggling endeavor for me at the moment, this current existence, but I will get there. And as priorities shift and capacities shift, I'm sure it'll stay fun and really interesting. But anyway, I have rambled now for, gee whiz, nearly 17 minutes. Thank you for bearing with me. It's been an epic update this month, but I hope you've gotten some amusement out of it at least, and maybe some information, particularly about Friday's release of Square Root -1. I hope you enjoy it. I would love to learn what you think when you do hear it. Please shoot me a line. And other than that, I guess I will see you next month. Have a good one.